My name is Padraic Staunton. I'm farming here in Moygauna in County Mayo. We are a spring calving herd, milking 83 cows this year on a 26 hectare milking platform.
Hi, Alan O'Brien, Teagasc Dairy Advisor at Balna here. So each year, about 6 weeks before the beginning of the breeding season, the team sits down along with Padraic, and a team of bulls is selected to use for the upcoming breeding season. The main criteria that are used when selecting bulls is firstly high EBI bulls are chosen, and then in relation to the sub-indexes, bulls that are high for both milk solids, that's very important, and also high in fertility. They're just some of the main criteria that are used. In relation to breeding then, when it starts, the cows are tail painted and observed in and bred on this. In relation to the cows that are selected to be AI'd, cows are milk recorded very regularly on the farm. So the best performing cows then are bred to produce the replacement stock on the farm. There were 7 bulls used this year. On average, they had an EBI of €323. The fertility sub-index on average was €155. The PD for fat was 0.25 and PD for protein was 0.16, and they had 35 kilos of fat and protein. In relation to the performance of the cows over the course of the programme, the milk solids per cow increased from 400 kilos in 2017 to 432 in 2019. Protein then went from 336 to 362, fat from 396 to 433, and again from 2017 to 2019 the EBI of the herd went from 57 to €137. The milk price received on the farm went from being in the bottom 30% to the top 25% paid out by the co-op.
You've got very impressive performance in terms of increased fat and protein percentage and increased kilos of milk solids and increased genetic potential in the herd. How did you achieve that, Padraic, over the last 3 years?
Well, I suppose that there's a couple of things that we took on board. And number one was, first of all, I would see, prior to that, I had milk recorded. And I would say to any farmer, milk recording is absolutely key. It was an eye-opener for me, to be quite honest. Because I looked at cows that I had, I thought, oh, great milk. But when you do the milk recording, you see actually what they're producing and what their solids are like. And that is key at the end of the day. I found in the beginning that I had a certain number of cows that I shouldn't have been breeding off. What I did then was I looked at what we had, and if I was to improve the solids within the herd, based on what I was breeding ourselves here, it would take me a long time to reach where I'd like to go. So I took the decision to go out and source high EBI, high milk solid heifers. I did that in 2018 on a farm who had very good records, and I bought heifers off that man.
My name is Frank Kelly. I work on the Teagasc Aurivo joint programme. The field we're standing at the moment, this was one of the wettest fields at the start of the programme, and Padraic wanted to improve the productivity of this field.
And we had to identify the problem that was here, Frank, and we dug a trial hole, and from that it was seen as a deep drainage issue.
And the day you dug the test hole, what depth did you dig them to?
Yeah, we went down about 2.2 metres.
Okay.
And to the different layers to see where the water, you had a sponge on top really, and then you had a layer directly underneath that, and there was gravel underneath that, so we had to get down to the gravel to actually be able to, and we were lucky enough in that we were able to get the flow of water out to the main drain.
Yes.
That was key, because I took levels and we had a fall. Even if the level was level across, we were still happy enough with it, and that was key to it. So the 2.2 metres, Frank, that's where we were in it.
Later on that summer you installed the drainage system on this field. What depth did you put in the drains to?
Yeah, we went down actually that depth, that 2.2 metres, and put in a layer of 40 mil chip, an 80 mil pipe on top of that, and brought the chipped in up above the impermeable layer where the water couldn't get through. And we put a little membrane in across the top of the chip so that the clay wasn't able to get down to it, you know. Prior to trying to drain it, if I got into it probably about 4 times for the year because it was weather dependent. But we're hitting at least 10 grazings at the minute. We're getting 10 grazings beside the parlour, so it was well worthwhile doing because it was adjacent to the parlour. It's about 3 different aspects of it. And one, we wouldn't have been grass measuring, number one, right? And that is key. Secondly, we would have looked at our infrastructure, road infrastructure in particular, and how you got access to your paddocks. Thirdly, I would see receding ground, right? We have probably installed about 500 metres of new roadways, and we would have upgraded another kilometre of roadways. And that, I feel, is key in that it's having easy access and multiple entry and exit points to paddocks. And it allows you to go into a paddock, graze it, come out. You're not travelling back on it again. That was part of the problem in the past, not having enough road infrastructure.
How much grass are you currently growing on the farm?
I think well, the figures shown at the minute, before we started the programme, we were growing about 8 tonne per hectare. Last year we grew 12 tonne per hectare, and it's looking like this year that we're on target to grow about 13 tonne per hectare of grass, which is huge change on the same ground. Yeah.
And Padraic, how much of the farm would be received at this stage in the last 7 or 8 years?
We would have received probably 60% in the last 7 or 8 years, and the field burned off at the minute to reseed, and any field that hasn't been reseeded in the last few years will be reseeded in the very near future because the new seeds are showing up big time what they'll do relative to old pastures. Some pastures didn't see them reseeded in a long time. So.
When do you get out in springtime, Padraic, and when did you finish up grazing in the back end of the year?
We will try to look at it as, you know, from the rainfall in this area, we're very weather dependent. And we would target to get out. Look, you'll be looking from the middle of February to the 25th of February. If you can get out for on-off grazing, it's a huge benefit. And in the back end, we from October onwards, weather dependent again. You could be in at night time, but you're talking say the end of October.
In terms of how much meal are you typically feeding in a year, Padraic?
We're feeling roughly 750, 800 kilos of concentrate.
What covers are you targeting to be in grazing, Padraic?
Well, you'll be looking at 1,300-1,400 covers to get in at that. As I said at the very beginning, I didn't do any grass measuring prior to that, but I really see the benefit of it. And thanks to Frank and Alan and the lads that have worked with me, and really, you have to discipline yourself to do it. And but you don't see the benefits of it actually really until you do it, because grass can get out of hand very quickly in a couple of days, but it has allowed us to have good quality grass coming back. Opportunity, all the farm would have been tested twice since the programme started, right? You're looking at peas and Ks up, lime, and trying to bring your indicas up to get up to 3 and 4, you know.
Have you spread much lime since the programme started?
We have spread with lime. We'd like to spread more than either in 2019. Yeah. It didn't allow it to happen. But it's key, look, it's getting the nutrients right in your soil, and reseeding ground without soil testing doesn't make sense. Finally, I'd just like to before we finish up, is just over the last 3 years, this has been a team effort. With Vinny from Aurivo, and you have Frank and Alan and Donald and Brendan Gary who introduced me to the programme. I'd just like to say thank you to each and every one of them for their expertise and guidance and help over the time. We worked together great as a team, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I just really want to thank them, and the best of luck to everybody.